Hey, what's good, everyone? Twist here with Open Sorcery, and today I want to go ahead and talk about the concept of Kaizen. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with this, it is something that is prevalent very much so when it comes to the business world and corporate world, what have you. And generally speaking, it's all about continual innovation and improvement in different processes that go on within that sort of realm. But it can be extended towards any manner of life, whether you're going ahead and trying to generate the almighty dollar or going ahead and pretty much trying to implement it in ways of self-improvement, whether it be trying to get better at a skill or some sort of like social interaction and what have you, and pretty much just generally being like, all right, I can go ahead and continually evolve and get better in whatever facet of your life it may be, and it can also just be in every facet of your life if you're looking to go ahead and just continually level up and once again improve. But the term in of itself pretty much goes ahead and translates roughly into once again improvement, but also good change and change for better. Now, in talking about change, right, that is something that both myself and my lovely co-host Devi have gone ahead and tackled in the topic of impermanence, change, and maximum weirdness, which we did a while back, and we discussed that with our guest and friend Y King, which, I can provide a link in the description to go ahead and listen to it if you guys wish to. Along with that, very shortly after, we went ahead and discussed a divination system based on the notion of change, that being the I Ching, what have you. And once again, link can also be provided. But yes, so generally speaking, when it comes to change in of itself, the popular phrase or adage that is usually attached to it is the only constant is change, or change is the only constant in life. And that's usually attributed to or credited as being coined by the Greek philosopher Heraclitus. And we've already covered that generally speaking. So let's go ahead and just think about it like this, right? If change is the only constant, then let us try to go ahead and figure out how to maneuver or interact or engage with that manner of existence to try to get the best benefits and outcomes that you can get, right? So in terms of that, let's go ahead and address Kaizen in particular and of itself and giving a general summary of it, and then going ahead and trying to more so expand it to where it's not necessarily limited to the confines of what that term in of itself has gone ahead and been attributed to business-wise, and also expand it to not just general philosophy or self-help and improvement sort of shit, but going ahead and being able to put it into a spiritual, magical, esoteric, metaphysical context, what have you, of examples of how you can go ahead and, utilize this philosophy and mentality and approach to things. So, in terms of Kaizen in of itself, the first time I came across it, as if you've heard in quite a few of my monologues or in conversations with others, through Open Sorcery, a lot of it comes from music, right? I enjoy myself some good old music, particularly hip hop and all that sort of thing. So my first introduction to this term came from the album called Kaizen by the underground rapper known as Kaan, K-A-A-N, to go ahead and put that particular spelling on there, all capital letters. And in having listened to that, it's like, all right, generally good, I enjoy him and his works, what have you. But in the term Kaizen, right, I went ahead and was like, all right, so what exactly is the theme? What exactly is, he drawing inspiration from? So then it came to me going ahead and learning about Kaizen as a philosophy in of itself. And generally speaking, when it comes to a very brief sort of history of the origins of how Kaizen came about, this was after World War II. There were, efforts by different Americans go ahead and help the Japanese be able to get back on their feet, what have you. So a couple of individuals by the names of Homer Sarason and Charles Protzman, I may be butchering pronunciations, I do not know, but oh well. They went ahead and developed and taught self-improvement or business-oriented courses between 1949 and 1950, what have you. And then by bringing in someone known as W. Edwards Deming to go ahead and further along the concept. He's gone ahead and become the most recognized American figure attached to the concept of Kaizen, what have you, and kind of like more so molding it into what we happen to know today, or at least what became eventually popularized as Kaizen. And then in 1986, author Masaki Imai went ahead and published a book titled Kaizen: The Key to Japan's Competitive Success. And pretty much with that, the philosophy started to spread out more so and affect, other aspects of the business world and the corporate world and different matters of economics and finance and what have you, right? And pretty much like, taking that sort of thing, right? Of course, as time went on, it has spread outside those bounds. What have you originally presented evolved itself as a system, continually improving, funny enough, but also, treated as a means and manner to go ahead and improve one's life, what have you, in a variety of manners, a variety of forms. Now, in particular to Kaizen, the one thing that is very significant to it is this particular cycle, this particular method of the PDSA. And with that, it is usually considered under the terminology of plan, do, study, act. Now, in relation to that in of itself, I have right here a little excerpt that I can go ahead and read, to which it goes ahead and explains what the PDSA cycle is all about. So, the cycle begins with the plan step. This involves identifying a goal or purpose, formulating a theory, defining success metrics, and putting a plan into action. These activities are followed by a do step, in which the components of the plan are online slots implemented, such as making a product. Next comes the study step, where outcomes are monitored to test the validity of the plan for signs of progress and success, or problems and areas for improvement. The act step closes the cycle, integrating the learning generated by the entire process, which can be used to adjust the goal, change methods, or even reformulate a theory altogether. These four steps or stages are repeated over and over as part of the never-ending cycle of continual improvement. So, aside from that little, mess up right there that I had, generally speaking, that covers the whole PDSA cycle, and it's, once again, plan, do, study, and act. So it's all about assessment and taking action, and doing it more so on a continual basis, every day, every step of the process, right? That, once again, if you're in a business, if you're going ahead and producing things, on a production line, or and trying to innovate new things, then, taking this approach and being, active in what have you, as opposed to just like being complacent and laissez-faire and whatever it is that you're in fact doing, what have you. Now, in that sort of sense, right, for me, in terms of like more so how I go ahead and put in the more so common verbiage, I kind of view it more so along the lines of like continually improving, as the term is translated into, right? But taking things step by step and day by day, right? And with that, right, going ahead and each day allotting time, or just allowing yourself to go ahead and improve, go ahead and be able to dedicate some time to growing your knowledge base, or taking actions towards, what have you, whatever sort of realm or field that you wish to improve in, whatever it may be, right? That could be, within the realm of, physical fitness. It could be within the realm of, magical and spiritual sort of endeavors. It can be within, I'm going to learn how to talk to people better and all that. It could be, once again, learning a trade or a skill, and that, like maybe wood carving, or, being able to smelt things. I could go ahead and, the examples are endless, right? But the bottom line being is that you go ahead and take things day by day, step by step, and recognize that, over time, you will see results. Over time, you'll see changes, the improvements, what have you, in that area, in that field of your life. So, the one particular sort of phrase, adage that, I've known for a while, I've heard plenty of times in my life, I've stated it plenty of times in my life, is Rome wasn't built in a day. And that has been coined towards, many, different sorts of things, and all of that's right. And there is a particular article I came across that you can read further into that particular quote and phrasing if you so choose, on learning more about Rome wasn't built in a day and where that came from, that I can provide in the description. But yes, so what have you, in talking about Rome wasn't built in a day and, building things up brick by boring brick, and paving all the roads and the buildings, the architecture, right? All that sort of thing. It comes along to like something that I particularly very much go ahead and adhere to, at times to my detriment, but just recognizing the virtue of patience. So with that, right, going ahead and being like, you know what, it takes time to go ahead and figure things out. It takes time to go ahead and, see things develop in the way that you want it to, however long it may take. But, patience in of itself, when executed properly, does not necessarily mean inaction. It just means recognizing the right times to go ahead and take more so significant action, or to go ahead and continue taking more so minimal action, whether it's within this concept of Kaizen or just generally speaking, and what have you. Recognizing that there are times and periods needed for rest or assessment and thoughts and meditation and what have you, and whatever it is that you're going ahead and doing. So, to go ahead and introduce another sort of thing from the self-help and motivational sort of world, right, that goes ahead and encompasses this idea of, like, recognizing Rome wasn't built in a day, and patience. There's a particular program that I believe I've referenced before here on channel called the 67 Steps, and that was, crafted together by Tai Lopez. So those who don't know him, he's pretty much a guy who's big in the self-help world, what have you. If you've seen advertisements on YouTube where, he's like, I read a book a day in my library and my study, or, he's in his garage with his Lamborghinis. Oh, here's my goddamn cars, and, all that sort of thing. Not in that particular southern accent, but that is me going ahead and being exaggerated. But in any case, right, he has, the 67 Steps program, and all it is just a collage, a mishmash of different concepts from books he's read, from mentors he's learned from, and what have you, and is trying to impart these sorts of things unto those who participated and listened to his program. So, with that having been said, right, there's one particular component in it that, is in line with patience in of itself, right? And what I was talking about, patience just doesn't necessarily mean an action. It means knowing when to take particular action, recognizing you have to wait for things to develop properly, and, all that sort of thing. And recognizing that, instant gratification, as many of us in the modern world and day are very used to and accustomed to, and are impatient in that regard, right? We aren't necessarily just going to get instant gratification when it's the things that we are trying to build that are worthwhile within our lives. So with that, right, he went ahead and proposed the idea of impatiently patient, right? So with that, pretty much what it is that you go ahead and you take action in something that you're interested in, something that you want to improve upon, something that you want to build, whatever facet of your life, right? In terms of his particular, regions of life as he's generalized them into, at least what's important to him. There's health, wealth, love, and happiness. So in that regard, right, in any of those 4 areas of life, you go ahead and you put in the action and do so rapidly to get us started, to get the ignition going, to go ahead and let this sort of, drive, go, what have you, right? And all that sort of thing. And then, as time goes on, as days go by, what have you, you you don't necessarily go ahead and have that same sort of drive to push you to keep going ahead and, like, you know, be as relentless in action, or shall I say, as, you know, impatient, or as, I'm trying to think of a particular term, as sort of, you know, just going ahead and impulsive. There we go. Yes, being as impulsive. You go ahead and you continually go ahead and take it day by day, step by step, you know, recognizing that, you know, whether it takes 3 months, 6 months, however long it may be, it could be even shorter. But, you know, generally speaking, you know that every day you're working towards building to something, what have you. But it takes that initial ignition right there and what have you to get things going. I guess you can say, just like starting up a car, starting up a vehicle, that initial key turn, what have you, at least in more so older vehicles, as opposed to pushing in the button, what have you, and more so of the modern cars that we have. But, you know, taking that initial key turn to get the engine revved up and started and all that sort of thing, and then putting your foot on the gas pedal, pressing down the gas pedal, going from 0 to 60 in however many seconds, and all that sort of thing, but then recognizing you're cruising, you know, and whatever, you know, it may be in terms of the miles per hour in your area. But I digress, right? I'm sure you get that visual and all of that, but continuing along with the idea of, like, being patient and all that sort of thing, right? Pretty much you go ahead and you take that time to wait for your rewards and the fruits of your labor to grow and ripen and what have you. And with that, you know, there are going to be times where, you know, you're just like, hey, you know, why do I keep doing this? This shit isn't working out as quickly as I would want to, and all that sort of thing, right? And generally speaking, you know, that's where you got to go ahead and have persistence. So, and persistence, right? That's just going ahead and continually, you know, doing what you do regardless of the circumstances and all that sort of thing. Knowing that it's going to be better some days, rougher the others, and it will take time in allowing these sorts of fruits to grow and to manifest and to ripen. And with that, I can go ahead and personally define it as, you know, being stubborn, not necessarily with a closed mind, but with that drive to improve and accomplish feats in whatever areas that you're passionate about, right? So pretty much going ahead and recognizing that, you know what, it's going to take time and I got to push through. It may suck some days, it may not, but you know what, fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and do it because I'm the only person who can do it for myself. Now, granted, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't take counsel from others, that you don't seek out mentors or teachers, that you don't go ahead and you get assistance where needed. But in order for you to achieve what you particularly want and or vision for yourself, you have to go ahead and be the one to approach it and be the one to do it, because it's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter, what have you. Granted, there are people who, you know, network, and, you know, it's in the phrase, it's not about what you know, but who you know. And of course, you know, some manner of luck, or shall we say synchronicity, and all that sort of thing goes ahead and plays a part and helps some people get a leg up in different areas more than others. And of course, just whatever you're good at, what you truly, when you know yourself, when you truly go ahead and recognize what you're here on this earth meant to do, that sort of thing goes ahead and helps you, you know, in doing what you're set out to do. And you're more so successful, or likely to be successful in those regards, as opposed to, say, you know, doing something that is completely inauthentic to you, right? So those sort of factors. But if you're going ahead and you listen to yourself and like, all right, this is truly what I want to do and what I'm meant to do, then that persistence will go ahead and help you and get you through the hard times, get you through all the rough patches, what have you, as well as help you through the good. But alas, right? So, and talking about all these sorts of concepts, all the sort of things, right, these elements, right, whether it's Kaizen in, you know, the original sort of, like, you know, frame or model and all of that, or talking about this more so in layman's terms, right? Now, let's go ahead and apply that to, in terms of the focus of the open sorcery, you know, magical, spiritual, the occult, esoteric, metaphysical sort of realms, right? And helping you expand your consciousness, become more so acquainted with the unseen or the paranormal, all of that sort of stuff, right? So how can you apply this in terms of your daily life, right? Well, I can go ahead and list many examples, but I'll just go ahead and, off the top of my head, think of a few, right? So in this sort of regard, you can go ahead and establish a practice of meditating every day or every other day, even, right? And doing it for like 5 minutes or something. Just allowing yourself to set time aside, close your eyes, get in that sort of whatever position is for you, and go ahead and breathe in, breathe out, focus on your breathing, all of that. We have talked about meditation at length here on the channel as well, what have you, but, that sort of thing you can go ahead and do. You can also go ahead and do prayers if you're particularly religious or, whatever sort of belief system or path or what have you that you're on. You can go ahead and do prayers to a particular entity, to a particular god or goddess, angels, daemons, elementals, whatever the case may be, right? You go ahead and you do that also to ancestors or deceased loved ones, to the universe as a whole, whatever your cup of tea, your flavor is, right? You can go ahead and do that, right? Or you can say your higher self even. Going ahead and praying, going ahead and invoking different entities as well. But going ahead and taking time to engage with the other, right? To engage with other things that are not necessarily within, our frame of 5 sense perspective and reality of sight, taste, touch, smell, and hearing that we usually go ahead and define as like our reality and all of that. But yes, so going ahead and once again, you can do that, invoking, praying, all of that. And that is another means and manner of, once again, doing it every so often, like every other day, or even on a daily basis, what have you. You can go ahead and do such sort of ceremonial ritual work such as the LBRP every day for cleansing your space. And then you can follow it up with the LIRP. So the difference between those, LBRP, that's banishing, that's what the B stands for. LIRP, that's invoking, that's what the I stands for. And pretty much going ahead and releasing and cleansing your space of negative energy and all sort of thing, and then immediately channeling in energy, drawing in energy, more so of positive nature, go ahead and fill in that void in space, what have you, and that helping you out on a daily basis. These are just some examples, and I can continue listing on more, like, for example, going ahead and, interacting with crystals, if that's your thing, of utilizing them and all that sort of thing. A lot of people in the metaphysical space love using crystals, especially new agey sort of folks and what have you, and all that. You can go ahead and have all your crystals and, have them in the palm of your hand while you're meditating, or keep them around you, and all of that continually, day by day, every day, what have you. You can go ahead and utilize candles, lighting candles, in honor of your ancestors or a patron entity or deity or whatever the case may be. I know that I'm just thinking off the top of my head and listing a variety of things, but generally speaking, taking this philosophy, this concept of Kaizen, this concept of continual improvement day by day, through the means of persistence, and being able to get yourself more so acquainted with that side of things, going ahead and allowing yourself to become more so better, evolved, improved, to develop more so of the, with higher magical aims, and then of course, material things may follow, but more so the higher magical aims of becoming more so evolved within yourself, a better version of who you are, and with that, developing, your aura, your auric field, your various bodies and layers in between, and cleansing and strengthening those, whether it be your physical body in of itself, but your emotional body, mental body, causal body, etheric body, astral body, your soul, your spirit, and so on, right? So you can go ahead and do that, right? And generally speaking, right, other material things will follow as you develop yourself, as you go ahead and recognize what it is that you're here on this earth to do, and all that sort of thing. Expanding your awareness and your consciousness. In regards to that, you can go ahead and every day or every other day, go ahead and practice remote viewing, for example, or lucid dreaming or astral projection, going ahead and interpreting dreams, taking up manners of divination. The techniques, the manners of doing this sort of thing are very much endless and can be unique to everyone else, even if the generalities are the same. But the bottom line being, what are you doing every day to go ahead, whether it's in this particular, aspect of yourself, spiritually and, metaphysically, magically, what are you doing every day to go ahead and continue to improve, right? Whether it's by repetition of things you've done prior and or innovating, or even not just through action, but seeking knowledge, going ahead and researching, learning about different cultures and their sort of spiritual practices, what have you, communication with others, and what have you, right? Just having that mindset. I think that's what the most important takeaway is, having that mindset of, it's going to take time, it's going to take a long time, it's going to take a lifetime, but I'm going to go ahead and improve and become the best version of myself that I can in this area, as well as others, and whatever that in fact may be. But yes, I think I'm going ahead and, hit the nail all too much with the hammer repeatedly over, or, being a broken record and being rather repetitive, being persistent and stubborn, you can say, but doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. And once again, having that persistence and improving day by day, whether it be by following the Kaizen method or just in every day, taking time, improving yourself in whatever means and manners works for you. So, and having said that, this is Twisted with Open Sorcery, and stay frosty, Neguses. Peace.